Senator for South Carolina.
Thank you. I want to echo what Senator Collins just suggested. How do you begin to turn this debacle around? You admit you got a problem. It's pretty hard to quit drinking if you don't admit you got a drinking problem. So what she's suggesting is that we acknowledge the obvious, that this bill on the defense side is inadequate to the threats we face. That a bill that funds the Pentagon below inflation at a time of great threat is not fully funding. That she is trying to get us to wake up to the reality that if we don't speak about defeating Putin now, then the Ukrainians who are on the offense will be undercut. I'll never let this happen again as long as I'm here, to let people negotiate behind closed doors and not tell me what they're doing on defense. I blame myself for not being more involved and more active, because in my wildest dreams, I never believed that the Republican Party would take the Biden budget that they've attacked for a year and celebrate it as fully funding. I know who I'm dealing with now. Here's what Reagan told the Russians: trust but verify. I will never, ever trust again, because you got an R behind your name, that you're going to be the party of Ronald Reagan. You have to prove that to me. So as we go forward, the game will change. Why is she asking this to be done? If we don't commit to an orderly appropriations process, it gets worse for the Defense Department. The people who wrote this bill, I would not let you buy me a car. The provisions of sequestration, for lack of a better word, the continuing resolution, if we don't do our legislative business, increases non-defense spending, decreases defense spending. I thought we were Republicans. Who came up with that great idea? The top line is inadequate. The CR is devastating. And what bothers me the most is that we would put the Department of Defense in this position. We're playing with the men and women's lives in the military, their ability to defend themselves, as some chess game in Washington. Well, this is checkers at best. The fact that you would punish the military because we can't do our job as politicians is a pretty sad moment for me. But people in this body, on my side of the aisle, have drafted a bill that would punish the military even more if we fail to do our basic job. That cannot be the way of the future. So I will insist, or we'll be here to Tuesday, and I'll make an amendment to avoid default for 90 days, ever how many days it takes to get this right. I don't want us to default on the debt, but we're not leaving town until we find a way to stop some of this madness. So you're not going to be able to blame me for default, because I'm ready to raise the debt ceiling right now for 90 days, no strings attached, to give us a chance to stop this insane approach to national security. I'm supposed to talk to President of Ukraine this afternoon. I'd like to be able to tell him something. Oh, by the way, you've done a hell of a job with the money we've given you. Not one soldier has died. The weapons used by Ukraine has punished the Russians' military. They're weakened and bloodied. They're about to take back territory. He's wondering, well, what does this mean for the future? I want to try to be able to tell him, I've got an assurance from this body, we're not going to leave you hanging. It is in our interest to beat Putin. I don't like war any more than anybody else. But if Putin gets away with invading Ukraine, there goes Taiwan. And if you don't get that, you're just out of touch. They have a chance to evict Russia from Ukrainian territory. They need more military help, not American soldiers. If Putin loses, it's a deterrence for China. If Putin doesn't lose, he'll keep grabbing territory until we have a war between Russia and NATO. This is a big, big, big deal. Iran is coming up with a plan, apparently, to drive us out of the Mideast. I mean, that just came out today. China is building, as Senator Collins said, they're going from 340 ships to 440 ships by 2030. We're going from 296 to 290. That can't be the response to China. You cannot say with a straight face that this military budget is a counter to Chinese aggression, that it adequately allows us to defeat Putin. You cannot say with a straight face that this budget represents the threats America faces. A military budget should be based on threats, not political deals to avoid default. Nobody wants to default. We're not going to default. But I'm tired of having default hanging over my head as a reason to neuter the military at a time we need it the most. To the American public, you would suffer if we defaulted. I get it. If this budget is the end of the discussion and we don't fix it, your sons and daughters are going to have more war, not less. You're going to send a signal to all the bad guys that we're all talk. And what you will be doing is putting the world on a course of sustained conflict rather than deterrence. The last time people did this was in the 30s. They wanted to believe that Hitler wasn't serious about killing all the Jews, that he only wanted some land, that he really didn't want to take over the world. He wrote a book and nobody believed him. The Iranian Ayatollah speaks every day, I will destroy the state of Israel, that we're infidels and he's going to drive us out of the region. China openly confronts our planes, 400 feet yesterday. They're testing us every day. Bottom line, folks, we're not leaving until we get a path to fix this problem. Susan Collins, my good friend from Senator Collins from Maine, gave us that path. If you want to go home, fix it. I yield.